Hey, Steele, we're here with an actual hippie.
Yes.
Don, do you still call yourself a hippie? Consider yourself?
I'm definitely a hippie, definitely.
Let me ask you this. I got the tie-dyed. What if I do
Oh,
this?
yes, I love it.
Not bad, huh?
That's great.
Hey, before we start talking about the wine, you got to talk to us about, because we're a music show, you got to talk to us about your experience at Woodstock.
Well, I was very lucky because I was in a band that we all decided to meet at Woodstock, and they had gotten a lot of tickets. And I had a whole mess of tickets, so I decided I'm going to Woodstock. I was the person that moved all the equipment around. So I had a little truck.
So were you on stage?
So I had a little truck. Wait a minute. So I had a little truck, and I was able to drive this truck. And when I got there was this big. I mean, the line was incredible to get to the main action. There's just too many cars, so I figured out, well, I gotta get through this. So I went through and I kept telling everybody, I'm with the band. I'm with the band. And I had my little truck, and so I drove right up to the stage.
The story I like the most that you told me while we weren't filming was when you were leaving, and how you would just take your truck and pick up everything that people left behind. And then you went from one field, and then you went to another, and there was better stuff.
After the truck, I said, wait a minute, this is better stuff.
Tell us another story. What about the hat? I see you got the pin.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was very young, the war started, the Second World War started in 1941, and I joined the Merchant Marine. I was only 14, man. It was incredible. Suddenly they needed some men. Next thing you know, I was on the United States Army transport. I was in a convoy going to England. Then we were taking some supplies to Antwerp, Belgium. And this was in 44, when they had the Battle of the Bulge. And we were attacked by Messerschmitts, and they had these buzz bombs that were blasting all over the place. And in 1945, we left the port. And on January 11th, 1945, we were going through the channel into the St. James Channel, and we were hit with, there was some action. A submarine hit 4 ships, and we were one of the 4 ships that were, my ship was hit, sunk. USAT Roanoke was the name of the ship. Got in the lifeboats and the whole trip.
Wow.
Watched the ship go down. I mean, scary, very scary.
Take us from that to where you're at now.
I opened the first health food store in the Delaware Water Gap called Omega Natural Food. I was making wine in the basement of the health food store. So anyway, I always had learned to make wine as a child. I learned to make wine with my family. They were Italians, and they always made wine in the basement. So Mary always felt that I had an affinity for winemaking. So when we acquired this property, she's the one who dragged me into our Cherry Valley Vineyards winery.
Well, what do you think's next, Dom?
Let's go look at the winery. Let's go.
That sounds like a plan.
All right.
Dominic and his wife started Cherry Valley Winery back in 1981. Since that time, Dominic has incorporated his sons and daughters in his family-operated business. In fact, here are some of his grandkids' bikes. Just like at home, I guess I have to pick them up. Now that the bikes are away, it's time to check out what makes this place an award-winning winery. All right, folks, I'm here with third-generation winemaker, Nick. So, Nick, you're gonna actually take us through the process from going from something like this to something like this.
Big part of what we do here is bottling the wine. And in fact, let me come over and show you our machine.
Perfect.
Okay, here at Cherry Valley Vineyards, this is our Cadillac, all right? This is our Guy 2002 bottling line. This is a 12-spout filler. We can actually do 2 cases a minute on this unit. So somebody will be down here, usually loading the bottles onto the machine. As the track goes, they will be going around. You can see the wine in the filler. As this thing turns, the bottles will fill up, okay? But what happens is when they get to this point here, they're actually too full, all right? And there's no space for the cork. So if we tried to put a cork into those bottles, we'd sit here and get splashed, all right? So what we have here, this is a siphon. Now this is hooked up to a CO2 tank, some type of inert gas. And what that does is that will actually siphon out just about the same amount out of every single bottle and make space for the cork. And then what happens is, under 2,000 pounds of pressure, there's jaws inside of this corker that will actually squeeze that cork. Because if you've ever tried to put a fresh cork back in a bottle, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happens then is this will trigger the jaws to squeeze that cork, and then a plunger pushes it in, it expands, that's how you get your closure. So from there, you have a corked bottle of wine, okay? The next step in the process is getting one of the capsules and a label on it. And we'll take you down to our next machine that shows you how to do that. The bottles will then come from the other unit down to the ear, and they'll trigger one of these capsules, okay? Under some air, which hooked up to our compressor, it'll shoot out one single cap onto each bottle as it's triggered going through. Then right here, this is a heat tunnel, 1200 degrees. It goes down on top of the bottle, shrinks that capsule over the cork, all right, and then you get your complete closure. What happens next is we have the ability to put on a neck, back, and a front label, okay? For today, we're just using one label. This is a front label. The bottle will come through, and there's a switch here where it's triggered. The label will then get put onto the bottle. It's a pressure-sensitive label. And then we have somebody else. Believe it or not, this machine can actually be run by 2 people.
That's amazing. That's
400 or
incredible.
500 cases a day, 2 guys.
Yeah.
A little tough on the back, but
yeah.
really, and sometimes the year when we're trying to get some of this stuff out in preparation for the new stuff coming in, it really needs to happen fast. So,
Yeah.
the other guy down here, he'll be taking the bottles off of the line, okay? And he'll put them into the boxes. Now you'll notice we got them in the boxes upside down, okay? Now a lot of people ask me what's the reason for that, okay? Because that we use real cork, there's a space in between the cork and the wine. When it's sitting upright like this, the cork can get dry, shrivel, air can get in there, oxidation occurs, your wine spoils, all right? So that's why wine racks are on their side or upside down. Gotta keep a wet cork, all right? So we put them upside down. The boxes then are put onto a pallet, and then they're either taken to our distribution or to the stores. And that is how we do the process of bottling here at Sorrenti's Cherry Valley Vineyards.
That's fantastic. Why don't we now go from that to tasting?
Oh, my favorite part. Can I come?
Yeah. No, you gotta work the machine.
Oh.
You're one of the 2.
Always what I hear.
Well, Dominic, it's now the tasting time. And you know what? Like I said before, I'm more of a novice, but I had to bring in a more experienced palate for the tasting part.
Now let me ask you here, do you guys make a Cabernet? Do you make like a red Zin? Do you make a Merlot? Or do you have like
We do.
parallel wines?
We make all of those things. We do. We have 5 or 6 red wines that we concentrate on, which are all barrel aged.
Is your wine made to be laid down and aged for a number of years?
Most white wines are wines that you would drink in the first few years.
Right.
But the red wines, because you age them with oak, they should be laid on the side for a while. And actually, we encourage people to not drink the wine immediately.
There's the Governor's Cup. Winning that is like winning the Super Bowl in the wine industry. Other key awards that Dominic's wines have won include winning the Finger Lakes International Wine Competition and the Keystone Wine Competition. Now it is time for a toast.
As we say in Italian, 100 años, and which means may we all live to be 100.
All right.
Hey, Fulmer, that sampling wine over there was excellent. But we made our move over. We smelled the brick
Now
oven
it's
pizza.
time to change,
Yeah, we
get
gotta
in our
get change.
pizza mode, and now it's time to eat. So,
Sonny, what do you got for us? What are you gonna make here?
We'll do one of our traditional margarita pies, and we're making this pizza. We use imported Italian flour, we use imported Italian pancetta, fresh ingredients.
Now, your sauce. Tell us a little bit about that. What's the history on the sauce?
My grandmother, my father's mother, had the first pizzeria in Milwaukee. She was one of the pioneers of pizza in America, actually. And the sauce, we make the sauce fresh, and we do.
Now, is that Mama Lucia's original sauce recipe?
Yes, it is. And I can't tell you too much about what's in there. It's a secret.
now one of the big features on the pizza is the actual oven.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the oven, Sonny. Where's it from?
Well, this oven is actually imported from France. Le Pignol is, a company in France. They assemble them up in Maine. The stones come out of a very special quarry that mines these particular kind of stones, and they retain their heat better than any brick or stone out there. So, when you see a brick oven, pizza, it's not necessarily the same as this. It's a special stone.
Hey, Sonny, as you're pulling that pizza out, I noticed this is Mom's homemade cheesecake you guys sell.
Yeah, that's Mary's famous cheesecake. She makes that fresh weekly. That's an Italian-style cheesecake. Very, very light and fluffy. It's
Tell us about the blueberries here.
Well, now these are actually a wild organic blueberry and my father and mother go to Maine, every summer, and they pick their own wild blueberries.
Do they really?
Yeah, and she doesn't add any sugar, and it's actually got a little agave, and that's it.
Like, I never hardly eat any cheesecake without the graham cracker crust. That's beautiful. After you.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
You're welcome, buddy.
Oh, that is smooth.
The first thing I noticed, it's not as heavy and compact as a regular cheesecake.
It's very light and fluffy.
Yeah.
It's not real heavy like a New York style cheesecake.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, that's got to be the best cheesecake I think I've ever had.
Yeah.
And she's famous for it, I'll tell you.
Whether you're looking for a unique piece to enhance your wine collection or out for some weekend fun, Cherry Valley Winery is the place for you.
When we come back, Wolfie heads to Arts Quest in Bethlehem to support a good cause, but will he get in trouble doing so?